Yes. Right after that, man. Okay, so like this is a piggyback on the previous video. On the previous video was about when something solidifies. Hi, how are you? And now we're talking about the truths in this world that we still don't know. Now here, uh, sorry, there are truths in this world that still need to be discovered. I make it a point to read exactly what I wrote, specifically because everything about what was written had context behind it, which kind of goes like blurry when we actually kind of like most of the time when we're thinking about something, it comes and goes, and then you look at yourself and you go like, I was thinking about something awesome. And then if we're lucky and if we know how to trace our thoughts back, we can actually get to a point where like this is where it is. And then basically the truths of this world that still need to be discovered is is me piggybacking on discussing the solidification of whatever it is that I was talking about. And I think when it comes to human nature as individuals, and so that's something that's, I really think consciousness is unique to each reality. Now, all of them are like kind of like all our minds are capable of doing whatever. And there's science behind the fact that your minds could actually like even if you've been stuck, if you've been malnourished, if you've not been getting proper education, if you've been any of anything that's kind of like stomping you from mental growth, there's science that dictates that even that, due to the environment, the minute you start exposing yourself properly, you actually catch up with a relatively like decent speed to the rest of the world. And exponentially, that's the plasticity of the brain. That's how they basically discuss it. But at that time, I was literally just like, when I was discussing with myself how I have kind of like, you feel when your thoughts are no longer expressed the way you normally would, they're expressed in different ways. When they're no longer expressed in discord, when they're no longer expressed in and direct engagement or no longer needed to be expressed, right? Because most of the time, if I'm trying to express something to you, it's because I have that desire in me to kind of like let it out. But once I'm letting it out without actually having to express it to you, it becomes innate in me. It kind of frees your mind to explore different things. And that triggered me to kind of like write it down. There are truths in this world that still need to be discovered. And I don't know if there are truths about the world itself, because I really think our world is still like fairly raw. What most people like are really living in an opinionated manner. And I'm not saying they're wrong in their opinions. I'm just saying like just allowing ourselves like the chance to question, to think, to kind of like process things maybe differently, whatever, is a much more is a much more it is adventurous, but is a much more honest way to approach this world and allows us to understand things on multiple different levels and fundamentally like we don't know about 70% of our oceans, and that's just a physical thing. So who the hell knows what's kind of like hidden beneath? We don't, there's a lot to explore, and there's a lot of things that are kind of like have been happening. They're true, but we just are not really aware of them. So I think that's kind of like forgetting the physical sense. There's the kind of like within ourselves as human beings are like innate power, innate like the consciousness that makes us think. And so like there's a YouTube video I was watching. This one guy was talking like if God existed, it has to be a mind of some sort. And the discussion behind it is more of consciousness and how basically nature doesn't write "I love you" on the sand on the ocean. It has more of a pattern. Whilst like the intentional things that are happening are normally happening through a conscious stream where somebody like makes a decision or something makes a decision. Nature doesn't just decide to build a storm. Like, all the factors that support a storm would have to show up until it goes, and all these kinds of things. So it kind of like points at creation from that perspective. But I really think when it comes to us, there's a whole lot that's kind of like the translation of our mind into our reality and the connection of this reality to everyone around us, because we ultimately are engaging to everyone that's within to our surroundings through the reality that we create. And Jimmy Carr, man, I love this guy. He's a comedian. Jimmy Carr says something beautiful. He says, if you're upset one day, the second day, the third day, okay, we can all look at you and go like he's going through something. But after like a week of you being an asshole, then you're just an asshole. It's no longer you going through something. It's you're an asshole. And I think the way he said that is because, like, what he's doing is he's expressing his reality. And it's the easiest reality to see. The peaceful people, the quiet people are normally not, we're not able to like engage with them and understand their reality unless they're actually like engaging with us. But there are certain things that impose on our reality, and there are certain things that absorb our reality and welcome our reality. And that's where trust happens. And that's how we as human beings like level up in terms of like dealing with ourselves, dealing with each other, negotiating, integrating with our beliefs, with our cultures, with our history, a whole lot of stuff. It's just like fucking magnificent. It's all over the place. And the truths that still need to be discovered. And for me, honestly, the way I look at truths in this world are built on the concepts that human beings tend to always kind of like explore. And one of them is my own personal concept and my philosophy around society, because I think there's a solid truth within our interaction with each other that society still has not, I don't want to say explored, but expressed. And the people right now that are engaging with society are merely engaging with how society is and are not finding themselves capable of expressing truthfully their own truths in society because, well, one of the best quotes I could think about is that nail that stands out is hammered down, right? And it is often like these are the voices that kind of like are trying to do something different, but they have to be either very loud or very like discreet and strong in order for people to kind of start like moving with them. And requires a lot of passion, it requires a lot of conviction, it requires a whole lot of like different forms of approaches. This is mine, by the way, right? Like me, my goal is to do these videos until like I have a set track record of my thinking, so that I'll be able to like while I'm building whatever it is I'm building, in order to explore my truth, and in order to share it, and in order to build it, and in order to extract it from other people. My goal is simple and very straightforward, and I don't necessarily selfishly look at it. I look at it as my responsibility to go through with it. And ultimately, like I want that truth that I think I found to be expressed through the work that I have. I want that truth to be extracted from society and its concepts, and I want it to be kind of like right there at the surface where we're able to engage with it, where we're able to kind of like build on top of it in order for us to explore further truths, in order for us to explore further. I don't know, man. It's just nature is just very. It always has something hidden. It always has a way to surprise us. And since everything in front of us here is built on concepts that we have, then what if we could actually use these concepts? And it's just like Lego blocks, right? Instead of kind of like building on top of what we already have, kind of like use these blocks and build something different with it. And what kind of end structure would we get? There are professional artists right now that basically get paid thousands and thousands of dollars monthly to just basically build with Lego blocks, and they make it their job. They literally email the company or message the company and decide the types of blocks they would want, and the company would send it to them so they can build their art with Lego, and that'll be it's a cultural thing. It's a simple form of building using the small core elements that we need in order to get something big. No building can get up without concrete, without sand, without building blocks, without cement. All that stuff, concrete and cement are the same, or concrete is the mixture of cement and sand and water and steel, right? There are basic things that are required. Is the concept, the core of everything that we have in front of us. And what if we shift them around? What kind of truths would we find? And I think there's still a lot of truths that need to be discovered in this world. It's When I wrote this down, I think I was in some form of kind of like lost in thought kind of trance, and you get one of those like aha moments, and you go like, "Huh, all right." And it's funny because it's always me. If I were to explain something in my head, how would I explain it? And slow and steady, it just becomes more of a flow, just like these videos. And this is basically the third video with the same similar flow of the discussion and the expression and truths and behaviors and interaction. I don't know, did this video actually like end on a good note? I feel like this is kind of still open for me, but it's fine because I still have a couple other videos after it that are going to be like, maybe interesting. I don't know. See you in the next video.